Well, this is it, everybody. We finally reached ourselves into the final stretch of the DS version of Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing by going through the final 6 missions, and after that, we'll briefly show off one last mode, except with online mode, but that's just because the, Nintendo Wi-Fi connection is dead and everything, so yeah, you get the idea for this point. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Pac-Man here, and once again, I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, for specifically for the Nintendo DS. So, last time, we somehow managed to went into mission number 35, all the way up to, I would classify for saying mission number 49, and actually as it turns out is about the fact that apparently though, I was wrong again with the forms of the amount of missions they somehow got on this particular version of the game, because actually as it turns out, it's actually 55 missions, which is like 9 lesser amounts of missions compared to the console version. So yeah, that's why I classified that. So I do apologize for this point, folks, especially concerning for the fact that it's been ages since I actually have last played this game for sure. Well, mind you, it's been about a couple of hours since my last recording session, but I digress. So today, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. This is gonna be the true finale of our Let's Play of Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing for the Nintendo DS version. And straight to the point, we can now able to actually go into not only mission 50, but all the way up to 55. So as a result, mission number 55 is going to be the final mission in this whole entire version of the game. But before we're able to actually start this video off, as promised you guys, I somehow invited someone as the forms of yet another special guest. So won't you all introduce yourselves? What's up, Doc? Oh yeah, I've heard everything about you, Bugs Bunny. Oh, and how'd you know that exactly, Mr. Pac-Man? Well, the thing is though, Bugs Bunny, is about the fact that ever since in the 6th part, at least as far as I do know, from the likes of being Grand Prix mode, you do realize about the fact that recently though, Lola Bunny, in some cases your love interest, also decides to join in as well. Oh, really? Oh, that's actually quite intriguing, especially that hopefully I should able to actually meet up with her again, and hopefully though we're not gonna able to actually try to get mad or anything else like that. So either way, and I'm not gonna call her dull or anything else like that because she doesn't like that word. Yeah, I honestly try to agree for this point there, Bugs Bunny, but I digress. So, as I said before to you, Bugs Bunny, I've heard everything about you, especially because no matter what though, I felt incredibly sorry for the forms of what's been happening for the sake of the forms of Looney Tunes recently. Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer though, especially because no matter what though, I just can't even believe about the fact that WB decides to become a little bit more disrespectful, and no matter what though, it's hard for me to explain about this particular subject though, because as you can tell, that you somehow playing a DS game, I see. Well, yes, exactly, because at this point in time, I've recently, or we, somehow managed to caught up with the forms of the most recent Sonic Let's Plays, because obviously though, despite the fact we have to do some of them for its redo Let's Plays in the future, especially because no matter what though, it's about the fact that after all, we actually did done quite a number of Let's Plays, ranging from Mario games, to Sonic games, Kirby games, The Legend of Zelda games, Donkey Kong games, and etc, etc. Gee, how many Let's Plays you have somehow done in your channel recently, which is the Mexi Toys, what I've heard anyway. So, either way, and I suppose you also did manage to actually tackle through other games as well, such as, if I can recall, the Powerpuff Girls, and also My Little Pony stuff. Well, yeah, that's mainly because we are still the brony after all, so because of that though, okay, that's quite interesting concept. In fact, I've heard so many people mentioning about the forms of the word brony in the past since, let's just say, in the early 2010s or something like that. Yeah, that's mainly because the forms the existence of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic TV series, which, at that point in time, and it wasn't until specifically in this year's October, it will be 15 years old, which, gee, I can't even believe time itself just flies by, especially concerning for the fact that it's been a very long time since we actually last heard about the forms of stuff relates to My Little Pony stuff after the events of how the fact you do realize that G5 did somehow manage to able to retcon any other aspects in terms of G4, and generally speaking, that's why G5 was a massive failure, because not only because of the lack of merchandising, but as well as that though, is about the fact that, well, obviously though, they somehow let's just say both of those series in particular ends off with the cliffhanger. Well, to be more accurate though, Make You Mark ends off with the cliffhanger, and as a result, we never actually got the new episode for the sake of the forms of that particular series in mind, because as a result, yeah, it turns out that one of the major villains in the forms of G5 did somehow transport it into Maritime Bay is the final ending and somehow got screwed up. So, yeah, that's as far as I can try to say about that in a nutshell. So, anyway, yeah, let's talk about the forms of today's subject at this point, especially because you might able to actually notice about the fact that you're going to be hearing me talking a lot throughout the majority of some of our commentary sections. Oh yeah, as far as I do realize about that, especially because you always mention about something games related or films and pretty much miscellaneous basically, don't you? Well, yes, exactly, but that's mainly because I found setting up several other aspects a lot more interesting to able to discuss upon. So, for instance, though, is about the fact that, did you know, is about the fact that, well, today's date, of course, there is the 4th of May today, in some cases in 2025 today. Oh yeah, that reminds me of something, is that, well, happy Star Wars Day, everybody. Oh yeah, because recently me and Bugs Bunny, alongside with Mario and Sonic and Mega Man and Lola Bunny, don't forget. Oh yeah, because obviously though she did manage to join in just a moment's notice, so as a result, then yes, we did somehow watch a Star Wars film, which, to be more accurate though, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, because obviously trying to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the film's release since 2005, even though, mind you, it's only available on Disney Plus during that time. And also, we did somehow manage to able to play LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga on our spare own time for a bit, despite the fact that every once in a while though is about the fact that Maxie did somehow manage to able to go back on playing through the original cartridge version of Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64, and actually as it turns out, he's almost pretty much done with the main you know, fully 100% completion of the original Paper Mario before he decides to move on to the next game completionist, as far as the original game cartridges as far as this is concerned. I mean, mind you though, the only tedious process he did find, and that's what it appears to be trying to grind for some more coins in order to able to actually try to buy not only the final 3 badges in the badge shop nearby during the forms of the actual Toad Town itself, but as well as that though, the process of able to try to get every single recipes on the actual cookbook is actually way more tedious as it should be, especially because, well, unlike the forms of stuff he relates to, like, you know, the future sequels like The Thousand Year Door, as well as the forms of Super Paper Mario. At the very least, those 2 games in particular does give you an opportunity to able to look up on the forms of recipe category on the pause menu, rather than just trying to able to walk all the way back to Mario's Bros house and straight to the point. I felt that particular process is a bit stingy, and on top of all that stuff though, pretty slow at the same time. I mean, mind you though, it's about the fact that I've heard about the fact that Maxie, he's almost gonna be trying to get burned out after experiencing that particular backtracky, and on top of all that stuff though, trying to go for a lot of process of able to actually spend points with. I mean, the worst offender about the forms of these, not only 1, but 2 minigames in particular that he got burned out from, and that's what appears to be. One of them is incredibly luck-based, although, kind of thinking about it, I believe both of those minigames you do find in the Toad Town Playroom, and as a result, though, both of those minigames can be felt a bit luck-based. Like, as a result, he keeps on getting so much bad luck with RNG, with all that particular, you know, with the forms of trying to hit the blocks and stuff like that while jumping. Basically, though, he keeps on getting Bowser, which means he gets nothing, and as a result, yeah, it's stupidly luck-based, which as a result, he'll talk more about that if he goes back on playing through, you know, Paper Mario and stuff like that, until, to be more specifically, the next couple of days' time, if, depending on about the fact that he's almost going to be exhausted after experiencing a lot of recording sessions on Paper Mario. I mean, straight to the point though is about the fact that that game is already big enough as it is, so we can able to actually expect to realize that particular Let's Play is going to be the third longest Let's Play we've ever done, next to the films of not only Super Mario Odyssey, but alongside with the films of Sonic Frontiers as well. I mean, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens in due time, but either way. So, anywho. So, yeah, let us know in the forms of the comments down below for the question of the day. What did you do to able to try to celebrate the Star Wars Day? Because I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Because, well, it wasn't until we've realized about the fact that until next year that there was a film called Star Wars, Mandalorian, and Guru is going to be releasing until next year on the big screen. So I'm still very curious to check it out, but I still haven't exactly watched that much of Mandalorian recently. But that's just mainly because no matter what though, we've been busy, you know? Especially because concerning for the fact that we are still trying our best if we're able to actually guarantee to get ourselves the glorious Nintendo Switch 2, but obviously that was about the fact I keep on finding some of these websites, they are kind of hit and miss, which as a result though, yeah, there's nothing right to harm about, because I will have to admit though, I can always rely on the funds of not only maybe eBay, well, despite the fact that eBay's pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 is skyrocketing in price, similar to the funds of how it does it back in 2020 for the likes of PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. So, gee, that must have been so madness for that particular year in mind, although I already know for the fact that 2020 is indeed one of the worst years we've ever experienced just because of all that. Well, you know, the pandemic and all that stuff, yeah, that's definitely true, especially because, you know, we always have to stuck indoors, and not to mention those about the fact that we can't do any of those events or the actual events in person. So yeah, you get the idea for that point. So, and as you can tell, we are nearly towards the end of this mission mode right now, so it's only down to the final 2 missions. So as a result, technically speaking though, I somehow accomplished every single standard mission. So because of that, now let's move on to the final 2 special missions. So as a result, next up we have is the forms of collecting some more bananas, as the forms of one of those characters from the Bonanza Brothers in Monkey Target. So yeah, I guess we're able to keep on collecting some bananas, and at the same time, we have to rely on the forms to try to go for these little timed gates as well, so just to ensure for the fact that you don't want to waste time, especially because if your time runs out, you have to start all over again, basically. So, and it's also worth noting for too, is about the fact that I'm pretty concerned about the fact that recently though, I've also did manage to find out that Xbox fans are so ticked off at this point too, especially because no matter what though, that they're about to be getting a new bill after $20 starts at Microsoft, which I believe what that means is that unfortunately though, similar to the forms of how it does it on some of these Nintendo Switch 2 items, specifically in America, the pricing of the Xbox stuff is about to increase, and no matter what though, oh snap, this is gonna get much worse. And I can totally see why, for the fact that for Nintendo Switch 2 to me though, will be my absolute final game console we're about to be getting, because this is getting ridiculous with all that expensive price tag when it comes to not only gaming accessories, but alongside with the bumps of such an amount of brand new games for the time, especially because at this point in time, that anyone else out there, including ourselves, always attempt able to try to go after some cheaper amount of games for the likes of the majority of the PlayStation 2, alongside with Nintendo Wii stuff. I mean, generally speaking, I was about the fact that the future points and onwards starts to get pretty ridiculous. Yeah, I always thought about the same thing, especially because, well, at this point in time, the economy is about to get super maddening right now. So, anyways, folks, here we go on to the final mission in the whole entire game, at least specifically the DS version that is. Now, of course, we're going back into battle mode, except now, we only have to take down one foe, and that's of course Dr. Eggman. So, self-explanatory, right? And no matter what though, it's going to take place in Thunder Deck, so it makes sense, considering for the fact that Thunder Deck is the final track in this entire version of the game, similar to the forms of how it does it on any other versions for that matter, including the the Wii version, and the PlayStation 3 version, and the Xbox 360 version if you don't count the forms of the Hanga DLC track. And on top of all that stuff though, luckily though, we don't have to necessarily try to worry about with this whole chaotic moments now. So it's just literally just, you know, a one-on-one battle basically against with, well, Dr. Eggman basically. And the only weapon we can only use is bombs apparently, as opposed to the green boxing gloves, unlike the forms of how it does on the previous 2 missions. Well, straight to the point, we somehow managed to become victorious. So yeah, that was actually super duper quick. Almost becomes like gotta go fast kind of line. Yeah, especially because because, you know, I'm actually gonna be playing as Sonic in the final mission. So yeah, that's basically all there is to it. And then once you finish the final mission, it takes you to the staff credit sequence. I'm probably not gonna show this off just yet. But first of all, let me go ahead and try to buy the last few items before we're able to actually show off the last mode we want to show off. That's what it appears to be. Well, straight to the point, I'm only going to be showing off the an additional mode, and that's what appears to be time trials. Just to show for the fact, I just want to let you guys know that I just want to get this game finished before you're able to actually move along to the next weekend Let's Play, because as far as I'm aware, that Maxi is still on the process of experiencing Paper Mario, which at this point in time, like I said before, he's currently now on to the halfway point in terms of Chapter 7 before he moves on into, let's just say, the tedious process before he goes into the final chapter, which appears to be Chapter 8. So yeah, you can get the idea for this point. So, and of course, like I said before, is about the fact that there's no way we can able to show off Nintendo Wi-Fi connection just because the online service is, you know, shut down since almost 11 years ago. So for now, let's just go ahead and show off the last mode, at least for now anyway, and that's what appears to be the time trial mode, where it's pretty much self-explanatory what to expect. Basically though, you select those specific tracks in any of your order, or to be more specifically, you can able to choose whatever stage you want to go into, like for instance, Studio Amigo, and as a result, we can able to actually just, well, compete against with the staff's time and all that stuff. So yeah, nothing else to write to home about. And also, much like the forms of certain Mario Kart games, obviously though you can able to actually get yourselves 3 of those boost items basically, such as the forms of the speed shoes. So yeah, nothing right to home about, like I said before. I mean, relatively speaking, though, at this point in time, folks, it's just about the fact that I'll give my final thoughts of this version of the game once we're able to actually head over to the staff credit sequence for reals this time. And obviously, though, I'm a little bit mixed on it with the forms of this version of the game compared to the superior console version, so plus this may, but it does have some interesting stuff here and there, which I'll, you know, again explain more about it if we get onto the staff credit sequence. So yeah, because I get the feeling for the fact that, let's just say that the console version is much more preferred, because obviously though with, you know, gorgeous visuals, and on top of all that stuff though, extra amount of content on the console version at the very least for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 version as of now, because obviously though that, you know, Nintendo Wi-Fi connection already shuts down since in 2014, not only for the Wii, but alongside with the DS as well. So I'm pretty sure for no matter what though, there's absolutely no point for me to able to try to go for a 400% completion, because as far as we do realize that the achievement system is also present on the DS version of Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. And not just that though, Pac-Man, there's also the iOS version as well. Oh yeah, I suppose we should probably discuss about the forms of some changes of the iOS version compared to the forms of any other versions of this game. Now, as far as I do realize that on the iOS version, I believe you can only experience 4 cups instead of the forms of the usual 6, unlike any other versions of the game. And it's also worth noting for too that in terms of the forms of track, let's just say quantity of tracks on the iOS version was actually 16 as opposed to 24 tracks on the console version in the DS version as well. So generally speaking, it was about the fact I totally get it because of the, you know, handheld's limitations. So, although I'm sure enough that was about the fact that the iOS version still also has not only Studio Amigo, but also Sunfair as well. So as a result, though, that was the only time you can able to experience those specific tracks on those two versions in particular. So, and also what's even more noticeable than this is that apparently though the iOS version also has missions as well, but usually relatively speaking, it still has the star ranking system as opposed to the actual the grade rank system with the actual letters and all that. So yeah, that's as far as we can able to say about the phone's specific comparison with the DS version and all that stuff, even with the iOS version to top it off. So anyway, there's also another thing else I would like to explain to you all, is that apparently though, at least to be more specifically, there's a new film called Thunderbolts made by the one and only Marvel Studios during that time. Apparently though, that film is actually doing pretty well in terms of review scores alike, because no matter what though, despite we have not seen a film yet, but I can assure you we might be able to actually check it out at some point once that film comes out, and presumably on Disney Plus in the future. I mean, time will definitely tell though, but that's just mainly because at this point in time that we are super duper excited able to try to go ahead and see Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning, and as a result, no matter what though, it's gonna be a little bit more exhilarating more than ever will be. So I mean, again, time will definitely tell, especially because at this point in time as well, that we've almost got about 1 month left until the Nintendo Switch 2, alongside with Mario Kart World, is going to be releasing. So because of that, yeah, we still have no idea how on earth are we supposed to able to try to do Mario Kart World in the future, in terms of Let's Plays departments, just because no matter what though, it actually requires a specific high speed or ultra high speed HDMI cable. I mean, time will definitely tell though, just because obviously though that we'll still try to focusing on the majority of any other racing games in the future, to be more specifically in 2026, from the likes of, not only Mario Kart World, but also with the forms of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and of course Kirby Air Riders if that game comes out on Nintendo Switch 2. So either way, oh yeah, I can get the actual resemblance about the forms of specific genres focus, doesn't it? Well, there are some other kart races out there, like for instance the Cartoon Network Racing for both PlayStation 2 and Nintendo DS version, strangely. So either way, I suppose that particular topic can wait though, and join at some point later down the road. So anyway, so let's give my final thoughts of the DS version of Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing. And I'm a bit mixed on it, I got to be honest here. I mean, obviously I still prefer the console version a bit more, just because, the amazing visuals, and on top of all that stuff though, the controls are very, very good on the console version to me though, and also the gameplay is very, very so good, even though it looks remarkably similar to Mario Kart. But obviously though, it's about the fact that they somehow introduced all-star moves, which is actually pretty cool for the time, and in addition to that though, it's about the fact that the replayability on the console version was actually really high. And on top of all that stuff though, the soundtrack, despite the fact that they are basically reused from any other SEGA games, but I will still say that the sound quality is very top notch on the console version. Well, compared to the DS version though, it sounds a little bit too compressed, and on top of all that stuff though, the visuals are okay for the most part. I mean, sure, there are some rough around the edges during that specific period, and in addition to that though, the gameplay itself, it is alright. I mean, it's very similar to the forms of how it does on the console version, but it does have some issues with it though, which I'll get to later. And the controls wise, it's not perfect to me though, because there are a couple of times where I swear the drifting is very wonky in this version of the game, just because, again, if I was trying to able to desperately try to not go over the edge, or try not get closer to the edge, and most of the time I keep falling off even if I was trying to charge my drift and stuff. I mean, that's just feels a bit annoying sometimes to me. And yeah, let's get the phones of the actual elephant in the room when it comes to my main problem I have with this version of the game. The AI in this version of the game is absolutely cheating and also frustrating at the same time. I mean, you have no idea of how many times I keep on getting hit by not only a couple of items, but also I keep falling off the track like I said before, and the most annoying thing to me though, I keep bumping into a lot of obstacles very easily. And the worst offender to me though they somehow rubber band me, and no matter what though, yeah, that's the only example about the fact that the rubber banding AI is gonna be immediately apparent, alongside with the forms of Sonic Rivals 1, for, at the very least, on some extent, because obviously that game also has rubber banding AI issues, along with the forms of, let's just say, potentially Mario Kart Wii as well, and Mario Kart 64 is another one of those examples that the rubber banding AI can really ruin your gameplay experience. So, yeah, that's as far as I can think about this particular version of the game. I mean, apart from that, it's fine. I mean, it's not the best version of the game in the world to me though, but I can still able to recommend it if you really want to experience the game on the go, especially because you can play this on not only the Nintendo DS, but also for the Nintendo 3DS as well due to backwards compatibility. So, gee, that's a lot of information you somehow got there. Trust me, Bugs Bunny, because once we do manage to finish up some games in potentially, then we always give ourselves our final thoughts just before we move on to the next Let's Play in particular. So because of that though, yeah, I will still say for the fact that out of all the actual versions of Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing to me though, the DS version is still my least favorite version of the game, just because seriously, there's a lot of times about the fact that the rubber banding AI is really stupid. So, although, on the plus side though, is that I like the introduction to two alternate versions, or technically three, alternated versions of specific tracks. Like for instance, I love the introduction to Studio Amigo and Sunfair, despite how difficult that track can be, because of the forms of handheld's limitations, and meanwhile, for the majority of the forms of the Jet Set Radio future tracks, I like the alteration of the forms of that particular three tracks in particular, because again, handheld's limitations. So because of that though, yeah, I can totally see why for the fact that we never actually get a chance to actually drive into not only the subway train station section, but alongside with the forms of, well, I can assure you there aren't any, sunset backgrounds or anything else like that, which, again, is probably because of the handheld's limitations. So, and what did you think about it, Bugs Bunny? And I was gonna be thinking about the same thoughts as you do, Pac-Man, because I've heard about the fact that the rubber banding AI can really ruin your gameplay experience, especially if you really want to go for 100% completion, likely going for first place and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, there are a couple of times where this game decides to cheat on you sometimes, even if you try to go for a pure dominating win. I mean, truth be told though, is about the fact is there's nothing right to hum about when it comes to experiencing rubber banding AI with this issue. So, yeah, I suppose that may be the case though. So either way, and that's all there is to it for this particular version of the game. So if you guys do really enjoy this version of the game, well, more power to you. You do certainly enjoy several aspects that I don't. So, I mean, obviously though, anyone else do have their own opinions, which is very understandable, because obviously though, we do have ours as well. So obviously though, our perspectives are a little bit different, you know? Yeah, that's probably true for this point, guys. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching of our Let's Play of Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing for the Nintendo DS version, and also Bugs Bunny. Yeah, Pac-Man? I would like to thank you to able to actually join in this particular video for me, especially because I did told Lolo Bunny that you will turned up, and truth be told, you did. So as a result though, you are more than welcome to join in the Maxi Toys crew. Oh, thank you so much, because I've heard that not only Lolo Bunny decides to join in as well, but also I've heard that one of the Akamu University decides to able to actually join in, well, one of the students anyway, called Vivi Lefume, if I can recall. Yes, apparently she joins in, and at the moment right now, she's busy with Blue Toad at the moment, so because of that though, yeah, you might check up on her at some point. So, oh yeah, thank you. So because of that though, yeah, I will have to say for this point guys, before this video is over, that's all folks, for this particular Let's Play of the, you know, what's the game called again? Well, if you couldn't tell from the title of the video already, oh right, exactly, Let's Play Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing for the Nintendo DS version, was it? Yes, exactly. So, yeah, we'll see you soon, Bugs Bunny, and hopefully you will able to actually do one of the Let's Plays in the future, assuming, of course, depending on, you know, Paper Mario situation at the moment. So, yeah, I suppose I must have to wait for a while once he done with Paper Mario. So yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Yep, and speaking of such, I'll be also gonna be done with this video anyway. So this is me, Pac-Man, from the likes of the Mexi Toys. And until then, we'll stay tuned for the next weekend Let's Play. Well, we're not exactly sure what we're gonna be tackling through next. So it'll be a surprise though. It will definitely be a surprise indeed. So either way, because I can't tell you what the next game is going to be. So either way, I'll see you guys at some point soon. Bye.